which Pete said that he could identify in the wastewater budget to afford that portion. So we authorized them to go ahead and do that. So they're going to try to apply. It sounds like we won't hear anything on that until probably January. And then we may need total probable cost and be going to town meeting with the number to get the authorizations and such. So we may need to discuss authorizing further scope work on the project to get to probable cost and better construction documents prior to knowing if we get the SRF. So we left that with questions about whether the SRF would cover any fees or we could bake those into a future loan if we were approved that were spent prior. So we're waiting on that answer, and then we'll probably revisit in the fall on timeline and kind of figuring out better where we're at. Questions on that one? Either one? Go on to the, I guess we'll jump into the review and potential vote on the FY26 financial transfer requests.
There should be a memo dated July 13th in your packet. And then I gave you some further detail about individual departments. But as we've discussed very briefly last night, there's some end of the year financial transactions that I need to request of the Select Board and FinCom. We do currently have a deficit. I should back up. At town meeting, you all vote the omnibus budget, so general government, public safety, public works, health and human services, culture, rec, and benefits all as one large group, and you just line item those budgets. I did work in education to this, just so you can see where that department is currently coming in. And then separately, you also vote the wastewater enterprise and the water. So I've shown you, based on everything that's come in terms of expenses, accrued payroll, encumbrances, where we are as of yesterday. There's still a few things that may come in tomorrow as we're finishing up the closeout. So these are estimates. I've had the town accountant review them as well, but it's as pretty close to accurate as we can provide at this exact moment. So with that being said, Group 1, which is general government, is currently reflecting a deficit of just over $51,000. We also have a deficit reflected in public works. The detail I gave you gives you a little indication of what departments either had surplus or had overdrawn. For public works in particular, snow and ice, I think that was approximately $70,000 over budget. The only thing you can do different with snow and ice that you can't do in any of the other departments is you can amortize that cost or raise it on the recap sheet. I don't know that there's a reason to do that. We have existing funding in the omnibus budget as a whole. So I don't know that there's much value to that, but that's an option that you could choose to do. Otherwise, all the other departments are coming in, or the groups I should say, are coming in with a positive balance, which is good. But as you can see, we won't have free cash availability like we have had in recent years.
Brian, did you say snow and ice was 70,000?
Approximately 70,000.
Okay. And general government was 51,000?
General government as a whole is 51,000.
Oh, okay.
Correct. There was an additional overage in public works. You backfilled the position because we had a employee on leave, so there was a little bit more. So public works as a whole had an overage of 80,500 and such.
Okay.
Any offsets on that don't reflect in there because they don't come in. They're not accounted for in this fiscal year.
You're referring to workers' comp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to the chairman's point, in a situation where you may have an employee out on let's say medical leave, though there is a reimbursement that comes in, that can't be reapplied to the budget. So the voters set the budget. That's where the money gets attributed. The money that comes in as a reimbursement goes to the general fund as a miscellaneous receipt. It's available for appropriation in the future by the voters, but the budget can't be balanced with the reimbursement.
So in situations like that, we're going to have a deficit in whatever department in the fiscal year and then have free cash that doesn't come out of the subtotals here
Right.
because that came in as a receipt.
Correct. To FinCom a few weeks ago, I mentioned that I may seek some reflection from the different boards about there's a statute we could adopt at town meeting that would help with workers' compensation when it happens. That may help avoid a situation like this in the future. There's some nuance to that language that may not be 100% applicable in all situations, so I want to review it in more detail with council and then come in and meet with both boards to see if it's something that you want to entertain for town meeting. But that may be an opportunity to avoid this type of impact in the future in the hopefully votable.
Hopefully we never need it.
I was going to say, hopefully we never need it, but in the event that you do need it, it may help avoid this situation.
Treating it more like a reimbursement grant type structure, more nuanced, but that idea, right, where we can actually apply it against it later.
Ideally, it would be something like a revolving fund, and like we treat property insurance claims. You have a valid claim that comes in, you can attribute the expense and the reimbursement for the settlement.
And so we can run those negative and positive just as
'Cause
we net
balance-
them every
they
year.
net each other
Yep.
in the end. That
Okay.
would be the ideal situation. I'm not finding an exact one that works perfectly for workers' comp matters, but
So July 15th is final processing day.
correct.
Can we wait till after July 15th to do this? Or
And
how do
Monday
we
that needs-
rectify anything that comes in?
So I would encourage you all to just add a small cushion to whatever you decide. So for instance, I'm recommending that at least 55,000 is transferred into Group 1 and 85 would be transferred into Public Works. If you all would agree to that, obviously you can choose whatever amount that makes sense to you. But if you added just a small cushion, that would allow any final things that come in to be addressed.
So you said 55,000 to general government and what to
85
85
Public
to
Works.
Public Works.
Do we also have the the option of just authorizing transfers to balance without numbers? Authorize the accountant to balance the accounts based on the funds, or do we need to specify?
Yes. Your two boards have the authority to move money.
Okay.
So because you budget omnibus and you budget in those groupings, it would be satisfactory, I reviewed it with council, it'd be satisfactory for you to authorize a dollar amount to come from one grouping to another grouping. And you can further authorize the town accountant to apply it to the appropriate accounts within those groupings. So we don't have to get into that level of detail tonight if you don't want to. But she still needs the authorization from the two boards to move that money.
Understood.
The detail sheets unless they changed since last night,
Right.
you said it's 59 currently with education TBD, but in these sheets it's like 300,000.
Right. What was not reflected on the detail that you see there,
Like
because that was from
275.
yesterday, is the accrued payroll for the school. And just for context, schools encumber for school years. And so accrued payroll for the rest of the town is to June 30. So you had 4 days, that appeared on the payroll sheet for this last payroll. So those we can accurately project because they've already occurred. For the school year, it's through August. These are on the September through August pay cycle.
So it's 200 and something K estimated to cover that accrual,
Correct.
which will be finalized by tomorrow.
That's my expectation. That was the instruction I gave. The one note I did put in your memo is that we have not received the school's encumbrance list yet, and I've been trying to reach somebody to try to understand where that is, or if it's not coming, maybe all bills have been paid, but usually there's an encumbrance list that comes over from the school.
If we don't have that tomorrow, do we have to bring those as a bill of the prior year and not pay them?
That is possible, yeah.
including payroll, theoretically.
Payroll we have.
You have it through
That's what the accountant was working on.
the end of August, okay,
Correct.
for the school fiscal year.
Correct.
All right. And so secondary came in slightly under the budget.
It's my understanding unless there's an encumbered bill that I'm on.
But secondary pay quarterly payments, right?
Secondary is supposed to be quarterly, but it's also related transportation or cost for secondary special education.
Which may
So
trickle in separate.
Correct.
Okay.
There are usually an encumbrance list for both secondary and primary.
Okay. If anyone has questions, please feel free to speak up. I'm just identified a few questions I had, so. Not trying to turn this into a budget discussion. July 14th, but
So is it my understanding that for the next year that the Franklin County Tech budget is going to,
the vote hasn't happened yet, right?
okay, when is,
FY27 it had a reduction.
yeah,
FY28 it will increase, and then depending on how the vote goes,
okay,
you potentially will have a debt exclusion that we need to
Also.
deal with.
Yeah, okay.
And that,
But in our next budget cycle, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Theoretically,
my
right.
recollection on that was 200,000 annually. I think was our portion of the debt service.
A little bit less. It was under two. I think it was 180 or 160.
That
Less
sounds
than I
Two
thought.
sounds nice.
Yeah.
okay.
So yes,
And the other debt service that we have is not falling off for a couple more years with them. Right?
you have that door and window project that's been on the books for about
Yeah.
a decade. I'm not
It's
sure
close.
how many
I think
more
it's-
years are left on that service.
Again, if I remember correctly, I think it was only a couple years it would be falling off right as we start getting into it. This one,
Right.
I think.
I know in debate about the Montague Library, that debt service was referenced, that would be falling off, and I want to say it was 28 or 30 that it was falling off.
Yeah, it's going to be close.
I think it's in the early years, first year,
Yeah.
early years of that project. If it
But your
overlaps.
portion of that's about, I think it was 14 this year.
is that all? Okay, I was thinking it was like 40, but
Yeah, no, it was about 14. So in
it's
comparison,
not going to
this
make a
is
big
gonna be-
difference.
no.
All right. And to be clear, in that Group 1 deficit of 50-ish, that includes the 50,000 surplus from finance not being using the reserve fund, because that's part of
That's
Group
correct.
1. So just to be clear, being negative 50 is because it's already being offset by the reserve fund not being used by 50. So if you'd spent the reserve fund, it would be negative 100 and change.
It's a fair observation.
Just to point that out. And really, it's much larger than normal legal fees. It's legal services in the year. That is the absolute driver of any way you slice up that 50 to 100 plus. On Public Works, landfills, which is not, it's there, but whatever.
You're
It,
talking about the surplus in landfills.
yeah,
So that is
So
last
large?
year- 2 years ago, you had that unanticipated matter with PFAS,
yeah,
and so we drastically increased the budget to address
To be prepared
that
for.
concern mid-year.
Okay.
So we increased the operating budget for FY26 to continue that. We've satisfied those requirements. It's come down, and when you set your budget for FY27, you reduce that budget, so you won't see that surplus again.
oh, because we brought it down in FY27 already? Okay,
15,000 is what my mind is, or 10 or 15,000, I think is what we reduced that by, and there may be even a little bit more.
okay. Questions anyone else has?
So if we were to reduce public safety by minus 140,000. Is the 267 that's currently in public safety for the new fiscal year, is that 140 has to be replaced?
No,
This-
because it'll be the 26 fiscal year that we're taking out of
Okay.
excess. 27 has it budgeted, we would assume appropriately, because there's a lot of reasons why it's high this year. And it doesn't take it out of that, so they'll have the full amount.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
For 27, they have
Okay.
the full budget, plus whatever changes were made during the budget process. This won't affect that.
So the
no effect.
267 is what's currently in public safety?
That's correct.
In FY 26.
Correct.
Okay.
State assessments and charges so negative?
So
Are you just
You're
gonna
like,
ask
do you
about
have to
that?
find that
this-
one?
I know, I knew that would generate questions. And you don't need to move money around, so that has to do with your cherry sheet. And
Yeah.
Anticipated receipts and charges, and as they move
Actual.
through the year, you get census numbers from the school, who actually school choice, either into our district or out. So they're reconciling all of those things, and I know a state communication just came across maybe 2 weeks ago with some adjustments that accounting's working on. So there's nothing that you will need to do, because you don't budget the state assessments in terms of charges and receipts. They're dictated by this Commonwealth.
We we incorporate the net in our budget plan,
Correct.
but we don't budget the actual numbers we expect to
Correct.
receive or pay.
Correct.
So as long as they wash reasonably
They will
close to what
wash.
we planned, we're fine?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we get more receipts as well, we'll be fine.
That would be nice.
Brian, kind of on that topic, just something that popped into my head.
Mhm.
I know there were some emails from the state about redoing how state-owned land and communities is taxed and all that. Is the town preparing a response to that in support, or?
I'm very glad that you brought that up. I would encourage any board member, but specifically anybody who's involved in our financial processes, to pay attention to those, they call it pilot,
Yeah.
payment in lieu of taxes, which is being used by the state towards the towns. The listening sessions that are happening, there are some happening this week and next week. I'm going to the one on July 20th. There will be one that has not been formally announced in terms of a date, but that same week in the town of Orange, so there will be one close by. This is an opportunity to hopefully influence how that formula is recalculated. As you know, Erving has some significant tracts of land that are owned by the state. We all enjoy that, but it comes at a significantly reduced cost, and that land can never be used for something else. We received less than $100,000 for all the state-owned land.
Wow.
Yeah.
Also on Senator Comerford's site, there's a place that you can go on the site regarding the pilot program and pose any questions from your municipality and concerns you might have as well.
Okay.
I can forward it to you all. To the Selectman Bembury's point, there is a link not only to register to attend one of the listening sessions, but if you cannot attend, there's a link that you can submit your own testimony. Senator Comerford is a member of the pilot commission, something that the Senate advocated for, and the senator is a member of that. So she's definitely listening, and the other members are listening to us. So this is a great opportunity to potentially change that formula. Just for high level, the value of the land is dictated, just like you would think about value of property being valued for what house is on it or what buildings on it. In this case, what's its use? And so open space, as much as we value that, is given a lesser value than maybe something that's in Eastern Mass in a more urban setting that could have a different or higher use. And so when we're being compensated for the land, the question is this equitable? And so there's going to be a lot of conversation, I'm sure, through this process about Western Mass having the forests or the Quabbin Reservoir and all these other resources that the state requires. It should be seen as an asset just as much as something in the eastern part of the state.
Can you forward us that? And can you also forward, if it's easy, and I don't know if Diane would have like this really quickly,
Mhm.
just exactly how much like a ballpark of Erving is state land?
Absolutely.
Like how many acres
Yep.
that is?
Absolutely.
And I would add if she has easy access to how much of that, what's the difference in what we receive for the AKA pilot calculation from the state for state land versus what we receive for the same classification land that's private?
Okay. I
Like,
can ask her
because
for
it's
that.
open space and rec, it falls under that category technically, right? If
Right.
it wasn't state owned.
Yeah, let me see if
And
she
so
can do a
what's, like, we
comparison.
know what our tax rate is, and so then what's that delta?
Okay.
Just to get a sense, you know, is it
Yeah,
a
that would be
dollar?
really interesting to
Is it a
see.
dollar per thousand of value versus?
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming we value them the same, just the pilot calculation causes a different net rate. Is that, well, let's ask that too.
Let me ask that question.
Because I want to
Yes.
make sure we're just comparing apples to apples if it was all the same
Right.
versus what we actually receive, because it'd be good to know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are we getting 10% on the dollar, or are we getting
Right.
90% on the dollar? I know I started low, because I think it's probably in that end, but
I saw that formula, but, and I have it in some paperwork, but I know it's on the DOR site.
oh,
And
okay.
It lists the breakdown between those two comparisons.
It's probably right near the front right now with it being a discussion too.
Yeah,
To find, okay. Jumping back for a second with the assessments and charges, you said they are processing some updated cherry sheets or some updated receipts for it and charges.
Correct.
It would not improve that number.
Hmm?
It would not improve that number because that's charges to date, so it can't get better. Correct? The actual number on the sheet, I understand we don't have to balance it, but
Right.
the negative 128 can't improve.
I don't. It doesn't function exactly that specific line item. You'll see there's 3 lines there.
Yeah.
One says state assessments. The other 2 that's your county assessment for solid waste and for COG, your planning agency. You budget, and it acts like a true budget expenditure line item for the 2 counties.
Latter two, yeah.
The other 2 have a different. The other one for the state assessment has a different.
Oh wait,
function.
that's assessments and charges? It's
Yeah.
receiving both?
Right.
Oh,
So
never
it's-
mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so it will change.
It
Up or
very
down,
well
don't know, but
could.
it will change.
And I don't want to pretend
That's fine.
in this meeting like I can articulate exactly how the 2 things work together.
No, that's fine. They're going to
know
book
that-
both ends of the transactions,
Correct.
and then whatever that nets out to, that's the balance.
Correct.
And so it could go up or down.
And the town accountant was trying to explain to me the communication we all received on it is enough to let us know you have to then go find another document that's hidden on a website somewhere because those numbers are slightly different, but they somehow do equal the numbers in this email. So it is a more complicated process than I can even attempt to explain right now. But she's
Up or
diligently
down
working
because
on
it's
it.
a net account. That's
It is a
plenty
net
for me.
account.
Okay. I missed the assessments was in there too.
And I very specifically said, do you want me to have them address this? And she goes, I'm working on it. So,
We've never talked about them before, so whether they're above or below what we planned, they
correct.
just flow through without an issue,
Correct.
even if they're off from what we planned.
Correct.
Brian, I might be splitting hairs here, but health insurance versus health insurance Union 28.
Mm-hmm.
Union 28 is over by almost 30 grand.
So I think that is similar to the issue that we all dealt with, and you amended the budget at town meeting to deal with the increases. And so when we moved that money, we moved it into that line item. We are responsible for our quarter share of the Union 28 benefits, but we didn't move money into that line item and make that adjustment. And I don't know enough about who has what plans and what their annual cost anticipations are. That's something that the treasurer has always monitored. So that's something I think we have to monitor more closely for budgeting purposes.
So when we were talking about health insurance as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
was that Union 28 line not included in that conversation, or was it?
I wasn't part of the treasurer's analysis that she was doing, so whether or not she was treating that separately or including it into the larger spreadsheet, that I don't know.
Okay.
But as a obligation, we have there's state legislation about our responsibility to the district, so we are responsible for that cost.
Okay.
And in overall health insurance, not in an enterprise fund, it's
Right.
balanced.
Correct.
So whether we were just being simplified for the sake of town meeting to move it into one bucket, or it wasn't being included,
Correct.
is a question mark.
It is a question mark.
Right, I just want to make sure, because to me, when we're talking health insurance, sitting here, I assume we are talking health insurance in total.
Right.
Not just, we are not excluding Union 28 from that.
Correct.
So I just want to make sure when we have a treasurer coming and presenting numbers, that Union 28 is being included in that assessment, and that's,
And as we do the presentation for future years, I think we can make sure that more detailed, because your budget software doesn't get into that level of detail. There's usually a grid or something that you get that gives you a summary of where the estimations are coming from. We can make sure that the Union 28 portion is included in that.
okay. I just don't want to get in a situation where we've covered partial, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, we forgot about you guys, and now we need to come up with this money for you, so.
Right.
I always assumed they were, so I just want to make sure that is, my assumption is correct.
And between the two lines, we're still slightly over, thankfully.
Correct, yeah.
Just refresh my memory, we budgeted the first 20% increase. We got it at before the budget, and then
Right.
a second 20%, and then a 16-ish.
We knew about the 20%. There was a mid-year 18% increase. Or there was an 18 and then it was a 20? Sorry, I'm reversing them.
How many percentage increases were not in the FY26 planned budget of FY26 health insurance
That
impact?
was a change that happened for October.
The one.
Correct.
16, 18, 17, whatever it was.
18, that in total was 38, so it was either 20 or 18.
Okay.
The first one we knew
First one was
about,
20.
And
for
the
sure.
first one we did as part of the budget, yes.
Okay. So this 29,000 represents theoretically an 18% increase, which doesn't math, but is my concern.
Right.
I don't have prior years, so I don't know if it's been consistently off. That we've been spending more than 50 and just not budgeting it split right, but something to think about
Of course.
because that didn't go up accordingly.
Well, yeah, and I believe we only budgeted, I think that the 45,000 that's left for health insurance is supposed to be about a cushion of 1, if I remember correctly.
For this
Current year?
cycle, yeah.
It wasn't it last year too? Do we have more than one? Did we?
I think we started thinking we had more, and then very quickly,
Okay.
as things changed, it dropped to I think 2.
Okay, I would just be concerned because if that cushion that is left in the health insurance line was used, then we'd have to come up with that too for the missing for Union 28. So I would just want to make sure that we're all on the same page that when we're talking health insurance with the treasurer, it's everybody,
Agreed.
and that
Yeah,
we're increasing both lines appropriately.
Agreed.
And we need to make sure we're doing it in the enterprise funds appropriately as well. Because that was an area too where it doesn't necessarily look like we're as aligned with actuals as we should be.
Correct.
Sounds like what do you two guys call it? The parking lot? Sounds like there's a lot in the parking lot for the new treasurer.
There's a lot.
I think we need to like build more parking lots. So the number of things we put in the parking lots.
Yes.
And I know it's not a straight line because there were also plan change options and enrollment period with that whole insurance thing, but even the primary line item was only about 15.6% increase. It wasn't like higher than that. So I know I know it was based on the reality in the moment, so maybe that's why it's better than the increase just straight line, but it just means it's probably tighter than we think, at least in terms of the past. So hopefully not in the future.
Have you heard anything, Brian, if health insurance is hoping to remain fairly stable for this coming fiscal year, or do we have any concerns that we might be seeing unexpected increases
You're
again?
saying this year, you're talking about the FY27 fiscal year?
The one that just started, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So the insurance advisory committee that oversees the Hampshire group is meeting regularly. Their executive committee is also meeting regularly. They brought on, this is a quick update, they brought on a an executive management team, I guess you would call them. It's a group called HILB, and they've been advising the executive committee in managing the day-to-day functions with the remaining staff at the group. The executive director has since retired. And so not only have they been working to usher us into FY27, but also to review operations and put new practices into place. Part of that work has been to secure the renewals on the insurance, do the comparisons. We're still with Blue Cross Blue Shield. They were also able to review the pharmaceutical plans, keeping the exact same plan that we've had before, but purchasing it through a larger employer group versus the one we had been purchasing through. Had a savings of a few $1,000,000.
Nice.
There was a similar change that they were working on. Again, keeps all benefits the same, but also would save operationally a few $1,000,000. So they're looking for operational opportunities to help stabilize not only the cash flow for the organization, but also to manage those increases in costs. And there was just some things that I'm not sure why we weren't aware that these were opportunities that operationally they could have availed themselves of maybe sooner. But I think that review from an outside group coming in and sharing their best practices and their knowledge of the field have really been helpful. I think we have to continue to monitor regularly and stay active in these meetings, and we will all need to make a decision in advance of budget season about whether or not you want to stay with them or whether or not we want to explore a different health insurance provider option. So I definitely think over the next 4 to 5 months, we're going to have some serious conversation about whether or not you're confident with where the group is headed right now and if they're stabilizing, or whether or not you want to explore a different opportunity.
Okay.
What is the time frame for leaving the plan?
We do have to give them advance notice. I want to say it's April if we're per our agreement with them, but that's too late to make the decision. So if we were to make that decision, we would have to make it likely by December. There's a deadline, say, and I'm not advocating for this, I want to be clear for everybody watching. Say you want to explore the GIC. December, I believe, is the timeline to notify them that you're looking to make that change and seek admission into the GIC process. There's another opportunity through Maya, our current property and liability provider. They offer a Blue Cross Blue Shield option. It's very similar to our plan. It doesn't have the December cutoff, but again, for budgetary purposes and for planning purposes, working with the staff and subscribers, we would need to do that likely December, January.
We probably have 3 or 4 deadlines we need to prepare around: notification of the current, notification to enroll in a future
Right,
ahead of,
right.
the process we have to go through to notify employees and unions and negotiate any change there. There's a
Correct.
whole
Yeah.
statutory process that takes months,
Correct.
and then the decision. So
Yeah.
there's a lot
It's a
of,
lot of steps. Yeah.
I think to Brad's point, it's a pre-budget decision, really. Pre-budget season decision, because we're going to have to decide and be
And you'd have
already
to go-
working on it by then.
And then working through that process while the budget is continuing to be built. Correct.
You know what happens when you bring us budget
I know.
information?
As I handed it
To the
to you, I
financial
knew
teams.
this would not be a short conversation.
Do you know if there's any some of these, it was, at least for me, being aware kind of operationally why we have some large swings, wastewater 50K, any idea if there's any big driver there? It's just a culmination of,
I haven't had a chance to do a full analysis of where the big drivers are. Typically, by the time end of July, beginning of August, when we're starting to dig deeper into the end of the closing of the books, the town accountant's office will provide me a list of drivers, and then I get that out to the select board. So happy to share.
getting a
it with you.
preview or jumping ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. Normally, I don't.
If you don't have
this that
answers, it's
early.
totally fine.
But I can certainly get that to you as soon as we have it.
Well, that's interesting for the wastewater, because that budget was amended by almost 60 grand.
So it was amended by 60 grand because of the health insurance.
Okay, and then it had a $50,000 balance.
But that isn't, but that's the wastewater in totality. It's all
Yes, yes.
700. So is that 5 or 10 here, there, and the other place
Yeah.
that
Right.
adds up? That's the part that I don't know.
Right.
Some of the other ones I either knew the drivers or it was a singular budget was clear enough on what it was. Like I'll pick on legal.
Yep.
It's really easy to know what that driver was without having all the detail.
As soon as I have that, I'm happy to get it to you.
Yeah, it's fun.
Speaking of which, what did we increase legal to for this year?
Not that.
Not that much.
But we did increase
You
it.
significantly increase legal.
Okay.
Could
Alright.
doubled it maybe.
At least.
At least, yeah.
Because
Okay.
legal alone was $130,000 over budget.
Yes.
Oh yeah, without that we wouldn't have had a deficit and we would have still had the reserve fund.
Yeah, legal was the largest cost driver.
Two more. The amendeds on here are from what? Special town meeting?
Correct.
Some of these are like a few $100s. Did we? Never mind. Some of them are negative a few $100s.
That potentially is, again, special town meeting or annual town meeting for bills of a prior year. And so there would be an amendment out of
It's a reduction for the current year because it gets attributed to the prior year.
Correct. And so then that
Okay.
moves into
Now it makes sense.
a special article to be paid.
Like a special wasn't encumbered but is now funded by and
Encumbrances show up in your 700s, special articles to pay a bill of a prior year show up in your 900s. And so if the order or the vote of the town was to pay out of current fiscal year appropriations, you'll see a negative amendment in the appropriate line item that then moves it into the special article. I should have clarified that.
that's fine. The negatives just threw me because they were small and I was thinking of that but wasn't expecting negative.
Yes.
What about my last, well, I won't say my last one because it probably won't be. Water, the last two pages. We have water and water encumbered expenses.
Yes. So to make sure that, remember I told you the 700s are where your encumbered funds go? 700s are also, 750 and 751 specifically, are also your debt service. So to make sure that when I ran the report, I captured anything that was left over from your debt service for POTW, I ran it with the 700s. And so it's just showing you in the water that there was $15,000 encumbered.
That's still encumbered.
Correct. And
Wasn't
that's for an ongoing matter related to Lillian's Way.
okay. Got it. I gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. It was encumbered prior to the fiscal year and is still encumbered going into 27.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Just want to make sure I'm reading it clearly
Yep,
as well.
that's exactly what that is.
And I'm familiar with now that you said that what it is. And we don't have any for wastewater.
Correct. Correct.
And the other departments we wouldn't have seen them because you didn't pull that sequence.
Yeah, you don't typically have anything in the other departments that
Well,
if
school
it's
probably
encumbered,
does.
it's not done. Fair.
I mean, from prior year, current year, and future year? Yeah, probably. What about the bill for equipment for PD, for IT, and that whole thing, is that resolved?
No, I need to resolve that tomorrow. That's one of the things that needs to change. But that, if it's going to happen, is going to have to come out of public safety.
Okay, never mind, I'm not concerned anymore then.
Yep.
I was thinking this was more granular than just the bucket for some reason. I'm good.
Yep. No.
Oh, I think it's because you were mentioning about police, and I was thinking it was just coming directly out of that, but it's coming out of public safety as a whole, which has
Oh, okay.
even another 100
Yep.
plus left, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, then I'm not concerned about that issue.
Brian, as a side note, have we had any more submissions for the Hometown Heroes banner program?
Not this current year. Admittedly, with the staffing challenges we had this year, we didn't push it maybe as significantly as we had in the past. So now that things are bouncing back out again, we'd like to put another push out to residents
Okay.
who may have a veteran who would like to be honored, so that we can continue to maximize that program. There is, I think most people are aware, there is disappointment that we don't currently have poles that can structurally support the banners in Erving Center, and we're hoping to finish some planning work to bring to you all to replace those streetlights so that we can get them back up over there. All the banners that we do have are being prominently displayed on other town properties, and so they're definitely up, but I know that Erving Center would love to have them back as part of
You're talking
of
the
their
runway.
display. On the runway. They'd love to have it there. So we are eager to put that back as soon
Okay.
as possible.
Any other questions, concerns? This detail includes encumbered payroll through June 30, already in it.
Town side, not school.
Right, except
Right.
for the school. All others is in here. We believe we did our last bill warrant.
Last bill
we
warrant.
believe we did our last bill warrant for 26,
Correct.
and or anything that's trickled in, it's all in here, as far as we know.
Anything that came in since we issued the memo today through tomorrow would then come in as an encumbrance. So that's the only other change you would
To
see.
net these down, yeah, okay.
Mhm.
I have all kinds of questions, concerns, thoughts about how all this stuff shows up when we go through budgeting every year, but I also had that from encumbrance last year, because encumbered expenses don't show up when we budget as an expense spent in the year. So when we encumber something right now, for example, if we did theoretically encumbered $50,000, well, IT just encumbered $40,000, that won't look like a 26 IT expense. It will look like a surplus if the money was there.
That's something I know FinCom has brought up before, is that, and they had mentioned, Brian and I were talking about it last night, is there should be some sort of policy or something that shows that, like right now we're gonna take unspent money from public safety budget and use it in other areas. And so how do we then reflect that moving forward? So when we start FY28 planning, we know that we had to do this, and we know, and also I think it would be nice if there's a way to explain, if a resident was to ask, why did public safety have all that unspent funding? There's valid reasons as to why they had it. It wasn't just that we over budgeted that department. So I think something that kind of, I hate to say it, but almost like a capital request form where you have like a little brief description of, I need to do this. Here's my driving factors, and I think it could come from here, and here's why that line has funding available in it. Just something so that we all have something to go back and look. I mean, I don't want to make it difficult or challenging or anything, but just so that there's an explanation as to why, and so we're aware of it for budgeting for future years.
Absolutely.
Sounds like opportunity for the accounting and maybe the future treasurer to work on some policies.
Another
and
parking lot
procedures.
item.
No, that's exactly.
And I brought it up because I was thinking of that too, but I was thinking of it because there's two parts. Like the regular encumbered doesn't show up as money we actually spent in the year, but it is that expenses we really incurred. These transfers are the opposite. We wouldn't, at least when I looked at a totality of a budget for the year, wouldn't want to see those in there because we're taking money out of, say, public safety to pay expenses that are not theirs. I don't want it to look like it's theirs. The departments that are over, and they should be, and they show up that way. But then the things that we encumber because they're expenses we haven't paid yet, we know are coming, those should show up. So I think there's a lot of nuance in how we would reflect it too. It may lend to, not only are we talking about health insurance in the fall, but are we talking about maybe doing a review of where did we land in the prior year in the fall, not as part of the beginning of budget season, but maybe earlier. So we can understand that, raise those questions, and maybe have plans around that by the time we actually are talking about next year budgets instead of just parking lots.
All right.
Because it'll take time to fix or change how we do those if we want to see it in our numbers.
Yeah.
So I partly asked that too, just because are these the right numbers that we want to authorize transfers? Do we have concerns with them? Do we want to make them slightly higher just in case there's anything that's filtering in the next 24 hours that isn't reflected here on those that are already tight? And I think we talked about they have a few thousand with the recommended numbers, but is that enough? Because ultimately what we transfer right now doesn't change what the department spent, and it doesn't affect anything. If we move more than needed, it doesn't affect anything because anything not spent is just free cash, whichever account it lives in. Correct?
Right.
Is there any
Anything-
negative to moving a little bit more?
No.
Except if we needed it, it wasn't there, it'd be a problem.
Correct. But right now, I think we're feeling pretty confident that
Yeah.
the nuance or the change may be within a couple thousand. It's not going to be tens of thousands.
Okay. And I trust the team is on top of it. give that latitude rather than having it too close.
Right, agreed.
Thoughts?
I'm okay with the 55 and the 85 that Brian suggested.
I mean, that's my thought. If that's what Brian put out, then I'm guessing he's pretty confident, so.
Okay.
Great, the pressure.
I was just gonna say, so that was AKA, we'll hold you accountable.
Under
for
pressure.
it.
Not a problem.
Why do we have a bill of prior year? Ask Brian. No.
Exactly. Department heads know how I feel about bills of a prior year.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
they've
No,
done that to
that'll
me.
trickle down. Is that what you're saying?
I was gonna say, I think if this isn't enough, and not Brian at all, I think if it's the department comes
Right.
forward and says,
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't get this, or this came in late, or this, I didn't, I think it's they come into the hot seat and they present and say, we need this paid and this is why.
Right.
So I will take that
'Cause it
pressure off you,
cover
because it's
it.
not your fault, it's your responsibility.
Right.
Unless it's your bill
Agreed. If it's mine, I will own it.
or our bill.
Yes.
I agree with you because they're gonna have to do that because it's gonna have to go to town meeting. Hopefully there is none, so it can happen.
Right.
So then we're good with it. Does someone want to make that motion as recommended? And you have it sourced from available funding, so it doesn't actually state what account it comes from.
So on the,
Or do you need it
does
too?
it recommended vote language on the next page?
On the back or next page, yep.
And I assumed because the grouping with the most available funding is Group 2 Public Safety. So I did.
Oh,
begin
the
to
from
draft
to,
it.
okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
But of course you can change that.
So
to
it's
whatever
X
makes
of
sense.
from, X of
Correct.
from, okay.
I'm okay with reading the recommended vote language.
Okay,
Okay. A motion to transfer the sum of 55K from Group 2 Public Safety into Group 1 General Government, and to transfer the sum of 85K from Group 2 Public Safety into Group 4 Public Works for the FY 2026, and to authorize the town accountant to make all necessary budgetary adjustments and transactions.
Second.
I feel like that needs there too.
There too.
I'm teasing.
Or any other action relative there too?
Yes, exactly.
I didn't
All
say
those, I know you didn't. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Excellent. This is new territory for us.
We have not had to do this in a very long time.
We have not. It's a good review though, because we don't do this review because we haven't had to do the transfers. But I feel like it's good to understand where we are at the end of the year here.
I think it was your idea of having like the most updated version of this before we start budget, before we truly get into the nitty gritty of budget. So maybe at some point while we're like planning our calendar and we're doing some of that pre-work, we could go through this and kind of highlight areas where we would like a little more information. I think it gives us a pretty good picture going into budget season of where maybe departments are budgeting, and that kind of thing, and seeing where we're at. Especially when the past couple of years we've asked for cuts or we've asked for level funding. I think having that knowledge going into it could be helpful.
It might influence our message.
It could. It very well could.
Similar to kind of what Capital does, where they pull all the departments in for kind of a current state of everything opened or closed in the year. I wonder if we should do the same with this, with the budget, with the departments about the budget, and it's maybe an hour session where maybe we have this the week or two before, and have met about it once, but then kind of come with the things that we want to ask questions about, like what was the drivers on this number for your department, so we just kind of have those details ahead of time.
That could actually, I was going to say, I know Capital has that meeting with the department heads, but you guys aren't usually there present for that.
No.
And that could be an interesting thing to do those meetings as a joint meeting now instead. And have this and that, because
Oh,
capital
do-
review is
Oh.
usually about, unless a department really had some outstanding things, they're there for maybe 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it is usually a fairly brief meeting.
I wasn't even thinking of it as being all in one night, but that maybe is better. I was thinking if we could do a joint on operating and then Capital does the capital, but do it all
Anywhere
in
where
one
we
sitting
can
in an hour or so.
combine
It's
and
not
cut
too
down.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Might move that up in the schedule ahead of budget messaging and timeline. We don't start budgeting in this November. We start it in September. It's a year-round process.
It's a very long process here.
Okay. Well, thank you for all the detail, and maybe as we wrap up budget season next year, we can talk about whether we want to just do this at the end of the fiscal year,
Absolutely.
regardless. Even if there's nothing to do, just to have this meeting kind of standing the last couple days. If there's nothing to move, it's a good check-in. If there is something, then we're prepared. We always know we have it in our back pocket, but we don't plan for it.
Right. There's been times
'Cause
that
we
we
haven't needed-
scheduled this meeting and then canceled it because it wasn't necessary.
Right.
So, but if this is more the focus to just have a financial check-in,
Yeah.
then we can make that a standing plan for you all.
I feel like it's less surprises and it's less discussion as we get into different sessions along the year because we've all been up to speed.
Right.
All right. Then we had review and potential vote on a solid waste disposal agreement with Casella Waste Management. And so they provided the offer, I believe.
So yes, and.
Yes, and.
So I sought this from them as soon as you decided that you were staying with Casella, and we entered into that 1-year extension. We were with Republic for your disposal site through June 30, but we had done that with Jan Amin from the Solid Waste District. That was part of an agreement that had been negotiated for us. Somehow we ended up in an off cycle from the rest of our peers by a year. I'm not sure why. And so several of our peers, including Gil, who also has Casella as a provider for the collection service, transitioned to Casella Waste Management for disposal a year ago. So somehow
Because we're 1 year later than all of them?
we're 1 year later for some reason. So
Okay.
our contract ended on June 30, and we asked them if we could explore what that would cost, and could we please seek the rate that Bill and our other peers are receiving under that agreement. And so they came back and they're honoring that. As I noted, this year with Republic, you were paying $112 in change per ton
In 26.
in 26. And the proposal for your first year with Casella would be at 100 and change. 194.
Just under 101, yeah.
per ton. So you're going to save about $11-ish per ton.
Did we have a 27 rate from public or no?
No.
Okay. We're probably
would
saving
like me
more
to
than
go,
that.
it would be
Well,
more.
I don't know. Would we?
It's up to you.
Or are we?
I think part of the reason you're
Happy
getting this
with that number.
price is because the county has negotiated and we've asked to join in on that county rate. So
So everyone who.
alone, we don't have the same tonnage and the same
Of course.
purchasing power.
So we were part of that group by negotiation contract with Republic, 1 year off.
Right.
And everyone else 1 year ago moved to Casella in a
Right.
3 year.
Right.
And so this is a 2 year mimicking what theirs is,
If
ending
you,
at the same time if
if
we
you want to
engage.
go with the 2 year, we would end up on the same cycle as everybody else.
Okay. And this is what everybody else did last year.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, even the proposed FY28 rate is less than what we were paying this year.
I have no concerns, and thank you for being
Right.
that diligent to work out.
I have to thank Jan. Jan is a good colleague on this topic, but I was happy to be able to come and show you that while everything else has gone up, we
Right.
found a place where maybe we can save. So it's a step in the right direction.
Well, tell Jen, thank you.
I will pass that on to her.
At least it helps offset a little bit of the increase in collection too, so
Absolutely.
it's a little easier. Because I don't know if we conveyed that, but since we're talking about trash, it'll be, actually that's the next item anyway.
That is next.
Then it has to cost more, but.
Yes.
All right, disposal first. Any questions or concerns or recommendation to go ahead with it?
No concerns.
Just
Okay.
no, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Kind of a side note, how does anything goes pickup fit into this, Brian, or is that something completely different from this?
To date, Your municipal collection weekly has been going to Republic.
Yep.
But your anything goes bulky waste has been going to Casella already as part of the contract. So
Okay.
that will not change.
Okay.
The rates that the board had previously locked in for anything goes will continue, and there's no potential savings because that was already a factor,
Okay.
right?
Is that set at a tonnage rate as well, or is it just an all-in contract?
We do have a tonnage rate and we have a labor rate in that, I believe.
Okay.
Yep.
You don't know what the tonnage rate is in comparison to
Don't
this?
have it with me right now,
That's fine.
but happy to get it for you all.
I would just be curious if it's
Absolutely.
similar or different. It's probably in a packet or two ago when the contract is in there.
Right.
Questions, concerns,
Nope.
recommendation to go ahead with it?
Yep.
Go ahead, Bill.
Make a motion to engage Casella Waste Management Incorporated for solid waste disposal services at the Holyoke Transfer Station for fiscal years 2027 and 2028, and to authorize Brian Smith, Town Administrator, to execute all necessary agreements.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
And then continuing our trash discussion. So we spoke with Casella about potentially exercising an additional year option that was on our contract. It was a mutual agreement option, not a set rate, not one-sided. They were willing to enter into something, but it was at significantly different rates because primarily prevailing wage
Right.
has significantly increased, which is a direct cost for them, obviously. We did decide to go ahead with, we did a 1 year, correct?
You did a 1-year extension.
We did a 1 year extension for now at the new rates that they proposed. They are higher, obviously. So in that discussion, it also came up about what do we want to do potentially with the trash sticker program or make any changes, the freemium model we have right now, as those costs continue to rise, even though we got our overall tonnage and things down from some of those prior years where we had some significant issues. The overall cost, even with more, I guess, in line or in trend volume, is just continuing to get more expensive. They go up almost 20. Okay. I want to say.
Yes. It was just shy of that from FY26 to FY27. We'd anticipated a 5% increase, so that was approximately 10,000, and I think there's an additional 7 or 8,000 than what we anticipated. So you're right, approximately 20.
So, unfortunately, not small numbers. And nothing we need to decide tonight. The board decided to go ahead and issue the same 3 free stickers per week for 3 months through,
Through September 30.
yeah, so through September 30 to give us some time to talk with Finance Committee. Have you guys review and think about what would make sense potentially. Should we change that? How might we change that? Any recommendations, and then get back together and talk about it with time to actually make a change if we want to do something in the current fiscal year to the rate or to the sticker program in general. Or we can at that time make a decision to continue it as is or extend it for whatever period the rest of the year.
If I
But
can just add to it.
Prior, just for reference, prior was 3 bags per week per household, free, and then 25 cents a pack.
50 cents per sticker.
50 cents a sticker after that, and I think our revenue on that is less than $100. It's just very small annually. So the majority of households are either not needing more or have plenty unused within that program. So we're not generating anything to offset the extra costs, that's for sure.
Right.
Do we? I don't do the trash in my house, so do we change colors of the stickers each fiscal year?
We have not. So we've been using the same color. We were trying to make sure that our tags wouldn't be mixed up with other towns' tags.
Yeah.
And so we made the selection for the purplish color that we have that was separate from all the others. If you were going to make a change, I know that one conversation has been we could make a change with the sticker color to create a sort of like a delineation between, but you're going to have a sort of a operational conversation about whether or not you would still honor the ones that have been issued as a past liability that we've incurred, or if you were completely ceasing those collections and only honoring the new ones forward. So we'd have to have that policy conversation because the driver would need to have that information at the curb.
Yeah.
Or if we're changing to still a freemium model and just not giving out as many,
Right.
and then hoping it would over time, the revenues would increase, not necessarily seeing those in the first year really substantially, but
Right.
there's different ways to approach it, and so I think we're looking for your input and to weigh it and come back, and I'll have a more lengthy conversation about like what ideas do we have on how to do it, and what makes sense, and
Can we ask for some additional info now?
absolutely.
Totally.
Can
And Brian wanted to
you-
add something too, but I don't know what it was.
Oh,
The only, just for context, some of you are going to be fully aware of this. When we procure the contract with your hauler, Casella or otherwise, we typically had been averaging 6 to 7 tons a week, which is higher than our comparable neighbors, but that's our normal. So when you're getting a competitive bid back, they're basing it on the truck and the physical labor that would be necessary to make that collection happen. When you exceed that, now they have to bring up extra trucks. And so you all run the risk of either incurring additional costs for that or potentially being in breach of contract because we didn't account for that. So when we asked the select board to help address this matter and you launched the freemium, if that's the term we're still using, a trash sticker program, it was because we were hitting 10 to 11 tons a week. So we have seen a reduction. We're back down to in the average for FY26, and thank you to Brandon for compiling all this information, is an average of about 7.25 tons per week. So we're back down around the 7, but we're still on the higher side of it. We're not the lower end of that range. And that's some of the concern here is that we came down from those peaks that were really inflating costs and they were leading to trash collection delays. I know we had some this year, but in the past we were having it because trucks would be full and they couldn't get a new truck back here in time to collect that day. So there are operational issues, not only contractually, but also cost-wise, but also just the ability to collect on the street how much tonnage was being put curbside. If they're expecting one truck to be sufficient and the amount that we have on the curb is two or more trucks, well then obviously we can't complete that in a single day with the staffing that we had already planned for. So part of this is to balance the service that we're under contract for. If we want a higher level service, then we need to contract for a higher level of capacity.
yeah.
So that was part of the reason we even went down this path to begin with.
Sticker started 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Just
during
about, it was
COVID.
August of that year. I want to say it was 22, so maybe it was fiscal year 23 that we started.
So can you ask Brandon
Mhm.
I'd like to see 3 years pre-sticker and forward. So we have a little bit of
Pre
data
and post.
before the stickers
Okay.
started, then basically forward to as current as he can.
Okay.
And it can be just like he has here. It doesn't need to be broken down per week or anything like that.
You
Just
got
the
it.
average per year.
We can absolutely do that.
Do we know when we started with Casella? Was it also the same? No, it would have been a year or two before the stickers. Because
This
that's
is-
the driver
you've-
for the stickers.
You've had 2 contracts with Casella and you just extended 1 year. So you've had 6 years with Casella. Before that, you were with USA. We're moving into year 7 with Casella.
Okay.
I seem to think it was during Casella that we started.
It was because
Right.
the weights
Right.
were much higher after we switched to Casella in the first.
And there was a lot during COVID
6
where
to
people were
18
home
months.
ordering
Yeah.
more. We had a lot of
Yeah.
cardboard on the curbs for all those deliveries. So we've gone through a lot.
We thought there were
of this.
factors, but then things weren't falling off.
Right.
So
Right.
we kept. That's where we ended
Okay.
up there.
Correct. Yeah, it was post-COVID that we were
How
seeing a reduction.
much effort is there in pulling these numbers, the aggregate numbers? Is it easy?
Unfortunately, we have to pull
Are we
it off of the
aggregating
individual invoices.
Weekly?
So to get the FY26 numbers here, just on the trash tonnage, it was 24 invoices we had to review. It's not a ton of work.
Well, I was just going to say, what's a couple years pre-Casella as well? But I don't want to do that if it's that much work.
What I will say is,
We have
Is-
that data though.
correct. So Brandon was kind enough to work on this and prepare this, and he also put a note on here. He has a presentation
he has more.
would love to make for you all if you
Saw
are
that.
interested in it. But in past years, we have to report this to DEP as well. So between Bets and Jan, we also were tracking the data that DEP needs. So for the older stuff, that's not on current invoices, I believe we have it in aggregate data. So I can grab it
Oh,
for you.
because it's already been reported in aggregate?
We had to report to
Potentially?
DEP.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, then I might be interested in 9 years. Or what effectively
9
would
years
be 3 years.
Prior?
No. Casella plus 3. Prior.
Got it. Okay. We can get
Just to
that.
give us some 3-year trends and different ways of looking at it.
We can
Pre-Casella,
absolutely get that for you.
post-Casella, post-stickers. We'd have all of that.
The one thing that's not on here but would be available as well is where we are with recycling.
It's on here for this year.
We have
Or
some,
for 25.
the sort of trend data over the years. We're not seeing massive increases in recycling, but there may be some space to promote or encourage more recycling.
Are those in the comparatives to Gill, for example, stuff that would have been on the DEP reports or available publicly on?
The nice thing is Jen helps do the reporting for all the Franklin County towns, and so
Give us
she collects-
data too, right?
Right. So we can definitely work with our partners and get you that data.
I think it would be interesting to see their volume for the same 9 years, say 9 roughly years,
Okay.
and both recycling and trash for both towns.
You got it.
Just for comparatives, like what are they trending and what are we trending and how different is it?
Right.
Because our recycling is actually higher, our trash is too, but our recycling is actually higher, so it's not that our recycling's in the trash
Right.
necessarily, right, with the higher volume.
I do know one program. I know it's being used by many residents in Gill. I just don't know tonnage-wise how it's comparing. They launched a composting program where residents can come and drop off their compost, so food scraps and other material that would have a heavier wet weight that would end up in your trash and obviously increase that tonnage. And I don't believe it's universally adopted townwide, but I do know that at a recent meeting I was at, I believe it said about 100 households had adopted access to it.
Okay.
And so that may also be something to think about in the future. We may have a way to divert food waste and other things that just add to the tonnage, and they can be disposed of for composting and other purposes.
Is this something they're doing through Casella, or this is something they're doing as a community?
Great question. They're doing it as a community. There is a drop-off location for this material,
Yeah.
and there's a separate hauler that is taking that material. We've had some preliminary
Interesting.
conversations with Casella about restoring our composting program at Erving Elementary School
Yeah.
and for this facility if we get the food program back up and running. Because of the volume, it would make sense to have that wet material not in the trash.
Okay.
And so Casella would have a bear-proof container that was meant specifically for this that would have to be separated. So it's a preliminary conversation. We used to have a composting program pre-COVID, and so we're looking at restoring that as
In
well.
Irving we did?
Yeah, at the elementary school.
But not for residents.
Not for residents.
Okay.
It was just
okay.
for the school.
So the programs the program you're speaking of that Gill is doing, that's for residents?
For residents.
Okay.
Our hope is if we can get our program back up and running for the town facilities,
Yeah.
that may serve as a model or a way to expand for something for the community if something that community members are interested in.
When we provide information to FinCom, let's send them the contract, the new contract from Casella, because it also speaks to their food program that they
Correct.
do for residents as well as
I'd
municipalities.
love to see a program for residents for compost.
It's kind of similar to what he's explaining for Gill with
Okay.
the containers and central locations and locks and keys and or keypads and foot pedals and all
Okay.
kinds of fun stuff. I got it in front of me. I've been skimming it as we were talking about.
Okay.
Because another one they brought up that is another reason to have it is I think there's information here about the what do they call them? I have to scroll down. What do we have at home? The
Single stream.
yeah, but it's
The dumpers,
yes
the carts.
carts.
The carts.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's the word I'm looking for. They call
Part
them
of the
carts.
automation effort.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's something that Casella has asked us to consider. In fairness, USA, your previous hauler, had asked us to consider it as well. There is a correlation between workers' comp issues for haulers and their men and women who are collecting on the side of the street, and accidents happen in that work if they're heavy. And so anything you can do to reduce that weight that they're picking up, if you can automate it with one of those mechanical arms that come out, grab the tote and dump, all of those points potentially reduce those costs. It also potentially leads to more efficiency, but there's some trade-offs as well,
Yeah.
So it's not that one size fits all. I know in
And that
Greenfield,
doesn't
where I live-
have to be single stream, just before I forget to add
Correct.
that.
Yeah, we alternate in this town, and I know Jan would love to come and talk to you if you decide to go down this road. And will strongly advocate to maintain your dual recycling stream system. The value of your recycling material is higher than it is if it's a mixed single stream. And the MRF, where you currently have a contract to bring all your material down in Springfield, only will take dual stream. So we would have to find a different disposal site for your recycling material. And for anybody who recalls, you used to be able to deposit that material free and collect a check. That doesn't exist anymore, hasn't for about 10 years. We pay per tonnage at a rate that the state negotiates on our behalf for that disposal. And then the value of our materials every month is recalculated based on the international index of recycled materials. And so every month I get a notice about how much the value of our materials has adjusted, and that becomes a credit on the bill. So we still get billed, but there's a credit on there based on how much we have turned in. And what the value is that month. So having that material be more valuable helps with that credit piece. If
Yeah.
you were to go to another facility and it was mixed stream, so we had a lower value, it just means that we're going to have a higher cost to dispose of our recycling. It's still less than the trash tonnage, but it's a cost.
I'd be curious though if it's mixed. Like what I'd be curious as to what those amounts are
Okay.
of mixed versus single stream. Like really, what is the?
Okay.
Is it dollars? Is it hundreds? Is it thousands? Is it pennies?
And what do we save
Right.
potentially on the hauling
That's-
contract? So,
Right.
and I don't know who would take it, but assumingly most of the providers who want you to switch have an outlet for it
Correct.
because it's not what's going to the MRF. So they probably take the single stream, and so what are they crediting versus what they're saving by saying we're just picking up one with one
Yeah.
single truck and not a split body and all that.
Correct.
So there's a net question, I think. There's some maybe purely recycling and green concerns, but there's also the financials and net question,
Got it.
I think.
Okay.
Do we have information on the totes, carts as well? That's not in the contract.
I've requested that information.
Okay.
It didn't look like we were heading there that quickly because there's a capital outlay. There's a few different ways to fund it, but the capital outlay. And so they withheld on coming forward with a true formal proposal on that, but I can certainly ask for that data.
Just some framework, because if that's the direction we're going, that may change what we do with stickers.
Agreed.
I think they're a little bit linked potentially, because we may be looking at what's a tote sticker versus what's a bag sticker and all that piece, right? So
I know some towns who have gone to full automation for both recycling and trash. They'll sometimes use the larger volume, the 90-gallon toters that you typically see around here for the recycling, because you want to optimize and maximize that use. And then on the solid waste side, they may use a 60-gallon toter, something that's a little bit smaller, to
Interesting.
try to encourage people
Yeah.
to recycle more than they throw away. I mean, there are strategies like that, but I
Yeah.
do know that one concern that has been expressed is that if you just provide 90-gallon toters to everybody for both trash and recycling, you'll max out your recycling at some point, and then you'll stuff whatever else you need to into trash. Or if it looks like you're only putting one bag in there, then you have more volume. So are we in some ways incentivizing or encouraging
fill it.
more trash? So there's different theories. Trash is there's a psychological component to this. So trash is very personal to people. As soon as people have come in to get these stickers, we've already received feedback. We've told you there's not a lot of revenue coming in from those extra tickets that people are purchasing. And anecdotally, at the end of June, people were coming in to get their stickers for the first time for FY26 because their households had still been working off of FY25's allotment.
Oh,
So
they
they weren't
never
even
picked
ready
up
to pick up
26?
they were just coming in June to get FY26. So that's more. We have more of that than we have the people coming in to buy.
So
That doesn't seem to fit.
With the increased volume?
Right.
I
I think
kind of
we're
where
issuing more. I think there's more capacity out in the community that we've issued than has been used to date.
So I assume stickers are tracked in some way.
They are to a certain extent. We know how many we've issued to the households, and we know which households are picking them up and when they pick them up.
So would there be a way, since the sticker program kicked off, to track, and clearly I'm not asking for names to be named in any way, shape, or form, but just to say that, we printed 1,000 stickers, we issued for FY25, we issued 500 stickers. FY26, we printed 1,000 stickers and we issued 300 stickers. Like, is there any way that you can provide us with that information that, you're printing obviously and preparing so many, and then what is actually being picked up and
That we can give you.
okay,
I just wouldn't be able to do the corollary to how many have been used.
No.
right.
Or which houses, we're not looking
Yeah,
for
that-
that.
But even, I'm just curious,
Yep.
like what are we printing every year versus what's getting picked up?
Agree. Yes, I can do that.
And when we issue, until this year, like right now, we've always issued the full annual allotment to anyone who comes in and asks for it.
Yeah.
So we print so many, and every household is identified for 156 every prior year, and they either get them or they don't. So we
Yeah.
can say this many households got their 156, this many didn't each year.
Right.
Correct.
And then we can also say how many we sold,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We have that.
So give us some ideas.
So no pressure on Brandon at all. I just know we have a FinCom meeting coming up, so I will put trash on the agenda just so it's there. But
Yeah.
absolutely no. I know he's going to be there for something else, so no pressure to have any of this information. But if he wants to give us a high level conversation or
Okay.
wants to present anything to us, if he has anything, I will put it on the agenda so he can.
Okay.
But we were asking for a lot, so I don't
Yeah.
expect him to be.
But this
to
is
have
helpful.
it.
This conversation gives some guidance as to where you would like your data, and happy to research it. And if you identify more, just let us know.
So Casella though, they're not gonna see someone with a bag of trash that doesn't have a sticker on it and not take. They take it whether there's stickers or not.
They're not supposed to. And if that is happening, and I'll be
It is
fully
happening.
transparent, I have received complaints in the past about that, and we have enforced that part of our contract. And so if it's happening, I need people to tell me that it's happening,
It's happening.
because I'd be happy to continue to enforce that.
On the other hand, we do allow 2 bags per sticker if they're not the large bag.
Right.
That is correct. If
So-
it's 2 of like the kitchen size, that is correct.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only,
No, like
yeah.
someone that I know has one of those containers that you're talking about that hooks up to the truck. They don't use stickers, but Casella just hooks up to the truck, and so.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Happy
I know
to
there's.
happy to go over it again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's sometimes where those work better because I think in the communities, I'm not super familiar, but you buy a sticker for the year or for some period of time, stick it on the side of it. And so if your purple sticker's on there then it gets picked up. If there isn't one, it doesn't, the whole tote.
Right.
And then, I don't know, come July, it's not green, we're not picking it up, your purple doesn't count anymore.
Yeah.
So it gives some accountability, different accountability, easier
Right.
accountability for Casella to enforce, I would say.
Right.
Doesn't mean they shouldn't enforce it today. So,
Correct.
I believe they also do. I believe Montague does it that way because I believe my mom can buy a 6-month sticker, and I think there's like a teeny tiny little benefit, price wise, because she buys it at 6 months and just slaps it on the side of her toter, and away it goes. So I think that you get like a little bit of a discount for doing it that way versus I don't know if they do stickers or bags or whatever it is.
I think they have both.
they have both.
What does Montague charge to you?
I don't. I just know she gets the sticker because it's easy.
We can get if that's helpful information, we can just get with the surrounding towns. It's only Erving, Gill, and Montague that are doing curbside collection
Oh, okay.
with a contractor. Greenfield does it, but they do it in-house. But I can get you that per ticket, or in that case, barrel cost.
And everyone else does
Transfer
transfer
stations.
station, drop off, or
private.
private service, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Gill household count is similar.
Similar.
Population?
Similar, but I'll double check.
Okay. Because if there's a significant difference in total population, even though it's the same households, it would generate a different volume.
Right.
Just to make sure that's more apples to apples.
Yep.
I think we're
we have
within a
all that.
handful of households for the 650 number roughly, so
Correct.
that's not far off.
Well, Brandon is researching this. Is it possible to also have annual dollar amounts for anything goes and tonnage related to anything goes for
Absolutely.
those years?
How many years do you want anything goes?
Probably 5.
Okay. No problem.
How long have we been contracting for pickup as well as We changed how we did it.
Since you started the Casella contract.
So it has been that way as long as we've been with Casella.
Because when we switched to Casella, under USA, we had them haul, they brought the
Roll-offs and
the roll-offs, and then we had
Packer truck.
we had a Packer truck one year, and I know that we also tried, we used to do our own collection with some other entities. And then there was even some material like scrap metal and other things that would go to a different hauler. And I remember when we came to Casella and tried to describe the program, because our program is unique compared to how other towns do it.
And unique.
And they came in and said, "We'll do it. We have no problem doing it for you, but getting into other vendors and all this complexity isn't something that makes sense to us. So if we do it, we would just do it in house." And so we made that switch that year. So I can give you it would be as apples to apples if I just gave you that comparison, since Casella has taken it on, and give you those costs.
Yeah.
Okay. That was my thought. Yep. Okay. Any other information or questions at this point? No, it's early.
Nope.
Do we want to tentatively talk about when we want to regroup on this topic? Just to at least have the next conversation. I don't think we'll make decisions anytime quickly, but just gonna regroup on where everyone is, thoughts, more information we need. How far out do you think makes sense? It's like, I don't, some data, some time to meet and all that, or like maybe mid-August? Is that 30 days out? Sound reasonable?
Yeah, I think so.
That would give us enough
So
time.
we'll put that on, and then we'll,
Okay.
as we finalize our summer schedule, we'll send you some dates in August.
Okay.
Okay. I think that wraps the joint meeting agenda. And
Yes.
we don't have any treasury warrant for tonight.
No, we took care of all that yesterday.
Okay. Well, I can adjourn this before I go through the executive session monologue if you prefer.
Motion to adjourn the joint meeting of the Finance Committee and Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen will resume their regular scheduled session.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you all.
So with that, I'll move to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares, which I do so declare. American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, Local 1725, Water and Wastewater Unit. And then immediately following, move into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares, which I do so declare. New England Benevolent Police Association, Local 121, Police Unit. We will not return to regular session. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? We call the roll.
Chairman Smith,
Aye.
Selectman Benbury.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.